Good morning, guys. As you can see easily by the title, you can understand this video is a second video about Snap 7, but with a small modification, little bit modification. Practically, Dave Nardella make a new library. The name is Sharp 7. What does it mean? It means that this library you can use easily from your project in Visual Studio under C# language. If you have a project, normally, you will find here reference to the DLL and then here using Sharp 7, Snap 7, sorry. Snap 7 was the last library to use. Now we can use Sharp 7. Here, practically, do you remember? You had Snap 7 DLL and then the wrapper called directly native DLL. In this case, it's different because you have not to use this one, but only from your project you use sharp.cs library. Here, if you click here on your project and you check aggiungi is add new element, you can add this library. Practically the library is directly downloaded from the Snap 7. Today I don't like. Allora, vabbè. Sharp 7 is a new library. Inside there are all of the function for the communication instead of use the DLL. Practically, just only add your library here using Sharp 7, and to be sure the class is included in your project. Nothing else. Today I want to show you something about the object to use for communication if you want to communicate between PLC and or PC. In this project is a simulator of installation level 2 which exchange data between PLC and PC for a warehouse. It is a big warehouse, but the simulator is small, just enough to check the methods. Important to set when you have included these classes, you have your your basic object S7 client, and you declare your object. If you want to exchange data from between two data blocks, you can see here in the PLC I have a 317 CPU. There are two, if you take a look, there are two data blocks, DB701, DB702. Practically in this DB is what I send, TX transmit, is what I send to the PC, and here is what I receive from the PC. The same thing, practically more or less, you have to do in your application. You know that every structure of data is composed by byte, and you can see and you can handle these structures as array of byte, vector of byte. So practically, this is my data block 701, 702, declared as array of byte. You can see here. There are different variables for managing the application. There are data in, incoming, data outgoing, data out is a class I declare by myself. You can see here. First of all, the application is composed by two items. Item Rx represents the minimum data for each item I want to receive. With all the, practically, there are all of the constructor and property get set to become this class public if you want to serialize, so practically save and load from a file. The same things for this item, for TX transmission data. Okay? Practically this is object-oriented programming. This is my basic object. After that I create two big objects and I go to declare a linked list. This time this is template of, this is the, let me say, generics. If you know generics, this is the kind of, the type of the variable of the object. And here I go to create all of my object. You see, item Rx, item Rx. After that, important, I create this method which return item Rx, get item by name. I send the name, this is the name practically of the item, and I get back my information. I also set get by name, id, get id, and what I need for the application, practically data incoming and data outgoing. You see here. In the application there are these objects which represent all of the data for incoming and outgoing object. Important to use when you use, because this application is based on the separate thread. If you know the system programming technique, there are a delegate and a static event to update the views, such as controls, I don't know, text box, from the thread. Because don't forget, every time you start an application, your application will start as thread. And when you create and use another thread, you have your object here, for example, this object, text box, button, label, checkbox, everything. Those of these controls are used by the main thread of your application. When you start this program, you start the process. The main thread of process include all of these controls. But if you use another separate or more than one threads, you have to use delegate and events technique to update these controls in this thread from another thread. I hope to be clean and you have understand, because this is important. This is one of the most issues you can find in programming language when you use concurrential programming. Practically, in the main form, initialize, when the form is launched, is started, you create and initialize all of the object here, client, for example. Important to say are some conditions, some methods used by the, for example, before to send data, here, I press accept data. And then I go to create all of the data. For example, S7 class, set double integer at, this is the data block, this is the address. Address you can find here practically. The absolute address here, okay? 16 offset data out. You put here the value get id. I use my method. So practically with this static function you can set inside your array of byte, because this is an array of byte, automatically you set the value you want get it by this name at this offset. Okay, the same also for set the int, double int at. There are also setting of bool. You can see here set int integer at here in this practically offset. It means 26 is here, data 1. What? The casting short of this data taken by get item by name, the same here, get data 1. This is all of the same for all of the set bit, all of the data. Set bit means that you set a bit boolean where here this data block offset 30 practically here dot 2. 2 is the bit practically inside this byte practically here. Okay, which value? The value getting this property by this name, the same. Okay, there are a lot of, if you make for example S7 dot, you can find here IntelliSense give to you a lot of the function, and practically if you want to use for example get or set, let me say here int, right, and you have all of you need here to understand. Buffer, don't forget, buffer is your data block. Okay guys, I hope this tutorial useful for you, and then the next one I will explain something about, for example, serialize data to write and read from a XML file, and also something about threading. Okay guys, thank you.